Like, it doesn't logically make sense that you randomly lose interest. Like, you seem like a genuinely curious and interested guy. I don't think it's randomly losing interest. I think it feels random to you because you're blind to like certain forces within you. Hello, my
Hello.
friend.
Um, Hello.
What do you go
I'm just
by?
gonna. My name is Param.
Okay. Let me
Parameshwar.
just make
You
sure. I'm gonna move this out. I just want to make double and triple check. Let me do this. That I don't leak your face, but it helps me to be able to see it.
it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just turning on the video camera because otherwise, I don't think I'm that much emotive in my voice, but I'm very like expressive.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm very nervous.
Okay. Tell me what
Uh,
are you nervous about?
I'm not nervous at the moment, but I was nervous before coming in the call.
Okay.
Um,
And what do you
I
go
didn't
by?
even like chat. I put type in the chat early on. I was like, oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I was talking to you
Uh,
earlier, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What do you go by?
I'm Param, Parameshwar. Just
Perm.
yeah, just call me Param.
Okay.
Uh, so where do I start from? Okay, let's
You're
talk about burnout because
yeah.
that's the thing. Um, Basically, to really sum things up, I have been dealing with this burnt out state for the past 6, 7 years, and I just feel like I'm stuck in a quagmire and I can't quite get out of it.
Sounds rough, man.
I'm just stuck in it. It is, and yeah, it's just kind of depressing, but also at the same time, it's very fearful to get out of the quagmire just to fall into another one. The very
Hmm.
same thing. It's just like I'm blinded, I'm blindfolded, and I'm just stepping out of this place. I'm like, I don't know. There's a 50% chance I might get into another same situation again, where I'm burnt out for years on end with nothing to add to my name.
Can you help me understand how you feel or how you felt burnt out for years?
Okay,
Like,
so a bit of a long story,
okay.
but this started out when I was, let's just say, 13. Um, I was a gifted kid, so you know, usual things like, oh, if you just do your best, you can do these things and all that crap. Good shit. But I was very much interested in learning new stuff, anything logical. I just love learning, like studying physics, chemistry, even learning languages because I just loved learning stuff. So what I started doing was, as a hobby, I started writing a blog and I started writing novels as a 13-year-old kid on the internet. I was like, sure, why not? Let's try these things.
One of
And
us.
slowly I started getting a lot of people following my stuff. That was cool. I was like, oh, I can have people read my stuff. That's very amazing. Eventually, I realized, oh, you can make money from this. And at the time, my family was kind of dealing with financial instability because my dad had resigned. So I was like, okay, maybe I can help my parents. Started doing it as sort of work, but not really work. The problem happened around the time when I was 16. My business blog had pretty much like expanded a lot. I had to hire new people, and I loved doing admin stuff. And I was also writing novels, but that didn't really work out anywhere because I was stuck not knowing if I'm making progress or if I'm not making progress in that aspect of the work. Uh, the problem was I have ADHD, and my ADHD slowly got very bad. It's diagnosed, by the way. So it got so bad that I was having problems even holding conversations, and I was having problems sticking to deadlines. Very, very severe problems. I would delay deadlines maybe 10 to 20 times, and then maybe I'll get things done. And to backtrack a little bit, I am a person who really loves making promises. If I make a promise, it's very sacred to me. I don't want to renege on it. The problem happens that my ADHD leads me to procrastination in all sorts of different ways. And when time comes to it, I'm like, oh, the deadline's here. I'm like, who cares? And that's sort of the main problem that I had as my ADHD grew worse. It got, who cares times 10.
Hmm.
Let me just take a look at my notes because I'm kind of going all over the place. Oh yeah. At the same time, I was trying to become my ideal self, like a better creator, a better leader for my team, and a better son and a student at the same time. And the thing it was, I was having a very hard trouble. I was just having troubles leading a healthy work life and study balance at the time. As I was a kid, I didn't know any better, so I decided to drop out of school because school just wasn't that big of a priority to me. Because in my head, I made an excuse like, I'm going to school to make money. I'm already making money. Why the hell should I go to school? Cool, let's drop out of school. And so the thing is, as my business grew, as I got more and more money, I wasn't receiving any money. My mental health was tanking. I had insomnia. I was coping with a lot of anime and a lot of like YouTube videos. So I was barely surviving somehow. So I was like, okay, maybe I should just take that money to go see a psychiatrist. My parents didn't really like the idea because I come from Indian society, not really a big thing, mental health, you know.
Oh, I know.
And yeah, I mean, it's different now. Now they're very progressive, but back then
Really?
it was like, yeah, back then they were like, no, you're my child, nothing wrong with you, beta. I was like, yeah, sure. I sure? I'm not sure. And what was that? Uh, yeah, so as I was trying to get to my ideal self, I thought, because I've learned since I was like 4 years old, if you just try your best, you can become that. As I get to kid, I'm like, oh, maybe if I just try my best, I can get things done on deadlines. Maybe I can be a better leader. Maybe I can even be a better son and not have so many tiffs with my parents. I was like, okay, let's try. The biggest problem, however, is I don't have that much empathy towards me or other people. Like when I'm just being myself, I have trouble having emotions in the first place. But when I'm impersonating someone, my ideal self, I'm impersonating as that someone else. I can very much be in tune with the emotions of other people and myself.
Hmm.
And it's like I was trying my best to be the ideal self at some point just to feel I was happy, just to feel like I was getting somewhere. Because if I was not, I was a lot more matter of fact guy. I was like, oh, I didn't get it done on deadlines. Cool, let's try your best. I wasn't really feeling any shame, anything. But the moment I felt even closer to that ideal self, whatever that may be, I was like, why the hell did I not do my best? So it's like on and off switch of my emotions. And that really led me down a path where I slowly started to get so bad on just admin stuff and everything else. I started self-sabotaging my entire thing and it crashed in like, I'd say 2015, 16. And ever since then, I just kind of feel like I don't want to work again for the longest time until I'd say recently, last year when I found your channel. I was like, okay, maybe I can start working on myself and maybe I can, start getting things done because I don't like to be in this place and I still like to learn things and I need money to just be financially stable and independent. The problem is I'm too scared either. I'm too scared or I tried to learn something and then I had this intrusive thought just coming into my head very abruptly. What if you can make money out of this? And I'm like, oh, I just lose all interest. I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. I'm gonna get fucked. Or I just completely lose interest because I don't know why. And it's a struggle because I still like those things. I still want to do them because I started them because I liked them. But at this point, I'm just not getting around to doing them because either I'm scared or two, I just don't get around to doing them.
What are you scared of, Param?
I'm scared of, like I said, like falling into the same pattern of trying again, trying my best, and then failing in such a way it's just, abysmal.
Okay.
And sometimes I have this suffocating feeling, this in my chest, anytime I start to do something, even if I know, okay, I might make some money out of this, and I just cannot handle that feeling. I have this physical suffocation. I hyperventilate if I start doing those things.
Help me understand that a little bit. So when you think about when the thought crosses your mind that this could be monetized, what it sounds like it terrifies you, you rebel against it in some way. Do you have any sense of what's going on there?
I also have diagnosed ODD, so I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay.
But
do you want to explain to us what ODD is?
I'm kind of iffy on the full form of ODD.
Sure. So it stands
But
for
basically
oppositional
it's,
defiant disorder, but why don't you explain what
yeah,
you understand about it?
basically what I understand about it is I've always been defiant against authoritative people, people who have authority over me, like my parents, my teachers, anyone and all the time. Now, there's a bit of a nuance, like if they are very gentle in the way they nudge me to do something, I might get around to doing it. But that's a very fine line, and for the most part, I will die on my own hill than do the thing that they're asking me to do. And I would annoy the crap out of them to just not do the thing that they want me to do.
Do you feel like the ODD is active right now in this conversation? Can you feel it?
No.
Okay.
Like, I'm being myself, so I'm not really that in tune with my emotions. It's definitely gone better now, but thanks to other people, I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, I'm definitely not as in tune with my emotions when I'm just being myself.
Okay. So, Param, I thought that was fantastic. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Mm, oh yeah. Recently, the reason I start thinking, okay, maybe I want to work is because my childhood friends and my peers and my cousins are all getting jobs, and I'm like, why am I stuck in this place?
Okay. Do you want to
I'm not
work?
com I'm not comparing. I'm not comparing myself to them. I'm just being like,
Yeah, I get that.
why are they getting to walk on the leveled pavement and I'm being stuck in this quicksand?
Yeah. Do you want to work?
Yeah, I want to work because I want money because I want to be financially independent. And I
Why do you
want to do that
why do you want to be financially independent?
because to this day, I don't have a good relation with my parents. I love them, but at the same time, I hate them. I just have too many, let's say, spats over meaningless things, and we don't see eye to eye on various topics. And I'd rather be alone and be happier than be with them. Despite the fact that they're giving me a shelter over my head, I'd just rather be alone.
Okay. I'm seeing that financial independence is really about freedom from having to deal with your parents.
Yeah. And then extra stuff, but that's probably the crux of it.
Can I think for a second, Param?
Absolutely.
How do you feel about yourself?
Hmm. Okay, I've thought about this a lot, and this is not necessarily related to burnout. It's a lot of other things. I feel pretty good about myself. I do not used to feel that way, though. I used to have a lot of suicidal ideations back in the days, especially during the time I was going through the collapse of everything. But now I'm like, I've accepted the fact that I'm in the place that I am.
Sure, I
I
get
just
this.
need to move on.
Yeah. And it sounds like what keeps you from moving on is fear of failing.
Yeah, it's either fear or just complete disinterest in the thing.
Help me understand that.
Now, like I said before, if I start something, I would either stop because I fear that I'll fall into the same trap, or just just lose motivation and interest to do that thing. And it's not because of fear, but just happens.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure why it happens,
Okay.
at least not as of now.
Okay. So I'm going to think for a second, okay? Let me just. Yeah, help me understand why it's important to you to keep your promises.
That's a very good question. Um,
Why is
can I
that?
think for a second?
Of course.
Okay, I think I know the answer. It's just going to take a little bit longer to explain.
Sure.
Okay, so I am not I I'm not really that good at, how do I say, stating my anything that I state from my mouth. It's probably to myself the second best option of communication.
Well,
Because
I don't follow you there.
yeah, I know. The first best option that I used to have as a kid was going out and fighting. That was my main form of communication until, well, eventually everyone was like, oh, don't fight. It's bad for you. You're going to get punished. And I slowly lost all sorts of like communication with other people, and I lost how to form connections with other people. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be alone. I need to learn how to speak. And that's why I learned how to, I learned the fact that everything that I speak has to be important. And if I make promises, which everyone tells, oh, those are important things, you always follow up on them. That's why I think it's sacred to me that if I make a promise, if I state a time, I have to get things done by that time. I have to do that promise, or it's just sacrilegious. It feels like sacrilegious.
Sacrilegious. So here's the question: is it sacrilegious because so it's not about expectations of other people and disappointing other people? I'm not hearing that. What I'm
No,
hearing
no,
is
no,
it's like
no.
it's an internal standard.
Yeah.
Okay. Barham, what's it? So let me just kind of recap what I've heard so far, okay? I don't. I think we're going to learn something. I'm not quite sure how to help you or guide you, but I'm okay with that for now. And I think we're going to have to do maybe just a touch more back and forth. So you were a gifted kid growing up. You started at the age of 13, like a blog, right? For funsies. Like you were excited about the world. You
Yeah.
got interested in stuff. You enjoyed learning. And then like as the blog started growing, you got positive feedback about it. You started making money. You hired a team at the age of 16 to do stuff. And like you were on the path to become a somebody, right? Like Barham is like, he's going to be a somebody. And then you kind of made this calculated move to drop out of school to focus on the blog. But then something, I'm not quite sure what happened. You had this sort of vision of your ideal self. You were kind of crushing it. You were doing well, got diagnosed with ADHD, really struggled to make deadlines. And things started, I just get the sense that things kind of like started falling apart. And as they fell apart, you started to really like get stuck. Suddenly, like this future, which you had kind of was like bright, like started to become dim. Furthermore, I'm also guessing that maybe you started to regret like dropping out of school and stuff like that.
No,
No?
no.
Okay. And then I'm sure your parents started to tell you they started regretting you dropping out of school.
Yes,
All right. So there's a
absolutely.
big nod, right? And then your oppositional defiance like pushed back against that, which is why you don't regret it, they regret it. It's not actually a mistake, right?
Oh, okay, maybe.
I'm asking you.
Now maybe.
Now
I mean,
maybe.
you just pointed something out, and I'm like, logically, I think that makes sense. Internally, I'm like, does it? It does, and it does not at
Tell
the same time.
tell me about that.
Uh, it does because I trust what you say, because I've just seen so many times where people have these mind loops, which you kind of, very simple mind loops, which you just like, oh, you're thinking like this. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Dr. K is so intelligent. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense when you say that to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a simple mind loop that I never made connections for. My ODD might be the reason why I never regret those things. But at the same time, I don't completely feel that way because I'm like, I kind of want to go back to school now. Now, as in like, just it started like 6 months ago.
You started 6 months ago?
I started wanting to go to school 6 months ago.
Okay. And then there are a couple of other things that I just kind of want to touch on. I'm curious if any of this sort of resonates with you. One is that at some point, people were like, try harder, bro. And I just want to kind of acknowledge that, especially with like ADD, like oftentimes people will think like, oh, if you just try harder, you'll hit your deadlines. And I just want to kind of point out, I don't know if this resonates with you or not, but then like when you try harder and it's not enough, you can start to feel really bad about yourself, right? Because what happens when you try really, really hard? Like, it's one thing to not give all of your effort and fall short. Because in the back of your mind that maybe if you tried harder, you could have gotten an A. It's almost more devastating to give it everything you've got and then fall short.
Yeah, makes sense.
When you say makes
Doesn't
sense.
doesn't really resonate with me because I've never really given my all except for this work. Like in my schools, I would never give my all. And I would only do deadline things if a teacher was breathing down my neck every day for like after deadlines or maybe a week before deadlines, and then maybe I'd be like, fine, I'll do it. Otherwise, yeah, you're not gonna get me to do the thing, homeworks or maybe anything else. Exams are a different thing, but everything else I was like, yeah, I don't really care as long as I pass the classes.
Okay. So the last couple points that it's very helpful when you're adding your comments, Barm. So tell me, why are you scared to try again? Because it doesn't sound like you have regrets.
Okay. No, I don't have regrets. In fact, okay, you have talked about this thing about, how do I say it in a family-friendly way? We'll see what happens. Attitude. When going into stuff, you will feel resistance, but we'll see what happens. Attitude. I did it, and I failed. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that again for something, and have it fail again.
Okay. So, but you don't regret the failure?
Okay, that's a very tricky thing. Now I don't regret it, but for the longest time, I regretted the fact that when I was imagining and daydreaming myself to be that ideal self, I'd always regret the fact I'm such a piece of shit. Like, I could not do that. I could not do such a simple task of just being punctual.
Okay.
That everyone can do. Like, being on deadlines, like getting
you
things
can
done on deadlines.
when you put on a costume of your ideal self, then you can regret it, but you don't actually regret it.
yeah, when I'm myself, I'm like very, I have, I have a very high IQ externally and very low IQ internally when I'm myself.
Sure. I think we'll get to that in a
Yeah.
second. So, okay, so that's useful to know. So basically no regrets, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's just kind of tunnel down there for a second. So here you are, age of 13, you start blogging and you're going to be a somebody.
I was just like,
Excited.
I'll have fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And then 16, right? Like you're going to be somebody, money enters the picture. You start to realize like, "Oh my god, like
a lot earlier actually.
okay." So like you start to like
But by 16, everything was like falling apart.
okay. I'm just kind of curious, what is it like to be on the road to success and then have it all fall apart?
I think for a second, I don't quite remember that feeling. Hmm. Okay, so one thing that I would do was if I made a promise and I, you know, renege on it, I would to make up for it, I would make nearly impossible promises just to overcompensate that my ideal self could obviously do. And I believed in myself that, yeah, I can do it, but I'd never be able to do it. And I just felt like it's getting farther and farther away. And it felt like eventually to a point I was just like, why am I trying?
Ha-
It wasn't in a emotional sense. It was just like a practical sort of thing. Like, why am I trying? It's not working out.
Barham, do you feel like you've squandered a good portion of your life? That
For a while I did.
and what happened to that feeling?
It kind of went away somehow.
Okay.
I don't really know what happened to it. It just went away, and I was like, I'm me. I'm here. I still have, like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 decades to live. Why should I care about some years that I just spent doing something in which I learned a lot of stuff, to be honest?
Sure.
Why should I look at it negatively? I came to that conclusion, I suppose.
I think it's a very valid conclusion to come to. So here's what I think could be going on, Barham. I'm not quite sure how to say this, so I'm going to stumble through my words. You let me know what sits well with you and what doesn't.
Okay.
So the first thing is that I think, like you kind of said, you struggle to feel things unless you're kind of pretending. But to
Yeah.
me, it just doesn't make sense that someone who has such a bright future that was like really, and it wasn't potential, right? It was happening. Like it was real. Like you were 14 years old or 15 years old and 16 years old and like helping your parents pay the bills. Are va?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right?
Home Hindi gets me all the time.
It's like, kya
Yeah,
baat hai?
I guess, yeah. In hindsight, yeah,
Yeah,
makes
right?
sense.
And then like for you to kind of drop the ball there, bro.
Oh my God. I'm not trying to boast, but yeah, I guess that, yeah, it can be seen that way. Yeah. Yeah.
What? I mean, do you see it that way?
Not necessarily, because in the end, that money never really came to me. I was like just paying my parents' bill. I couldn't really do anything that I wanted to do. Granted, I pretty much had nothing else to do, but I'd still have liked to have some
So
money
so when
to
you
myself too.
devalue your success like that, because that's what you're doing there, right? You're devaluing your success. You're
Mm,
like, then money never came to me.
yeah, yeah.
Like it never came to you, but oh, so 16-year-old just paying your parents' bills. It's not like it was any like they went to them, right?
I mean, I'm not really devaluing because it never really felt like an amazing thing. Maybe it felt amazing for like 5 minutes to me, but then it was like, yeah, okay,
Okay.
moving on. I need to get things done.
Okay, sure. So what I'm detecting more than anything else is like a lot of numbness. And
It's been there since I can remember.
yeah, so let's talk about that, because I think when we're not aware of our emotions, they manifest in ways like randomly losing interest. Like, it doesn't logically make sense that you randomly lose interest. Like, you seem like a genuinely curious and interested guy. I don't think it's randomly losing interest. I think it feels random to you because you're blind to like certain forces within you. Like, human beings work on principles. How are you feeling when I say stuff like that?
I'm feeling that I relate to it more because you talked about in this one VOD of yours on YouTube that I watched about addiction, that people with addiction would one day be like, okay, I'm not going to drink. And then 3, 4 months down the line, they're drinking again and they're like, I don't know what happened. And I was like, maybe that's happening to me.
Yeah.
I did think that way.
So I think a couple other things is I wonder if you're actually like oppositional defiant within yourself. Like, because when you said like, fighting is my natural, something kind of clicked. I have no idea if this is correct or not, but like, I almost get the sense that you're fighting a war with yourself. And anytime you try to get out of the pit, that suffocating feeling is like, don't do it. What I see, I don't see anyone else holding you back. I see you holding yourself back. And I think since you're kind of blind to emotions, like you're not even aware of like, you're kind of tackling yourself. Like that's what it is, right? You try to get up because you're not actually in quicksand. There isn't an external force. You're pinning yourself. Like you're holding yourself there. You're dragging yourself back anytime you try to move forward. And you kind of talk about fear, but I don't even know if it's fear. I mean, I know you say fear, so that's what we're going to assume. But what I'm noticing is like there's an absence of all kinds of other stuff. Like, I don't know how to say this, bro, but like people who are going where you are going should be full of regret.
No, frankly, I'm not. And that's something I've thought about what I feel a lot. And it's gotten to the extent that luckily I can feel a lot of stuff now within me. In the past, let's say 3 years.
Yeah. So now I've got another kind of weird. Go ahead.
It's not by myself, unfortunately. Actually, fortunately, other people helped me. My romantic partner at the time helped me out a lot in this aspect. And I was like, okay, maybe I should start looking into myself. And I come to realize I don't regret that time that much. I regretted it a lot at some time when I failed, and for like a year or 2 or 3 after that. But after that, I was like, I kind of regretted it, but at the same time, I was like, I'm glad that I got to experience that thing.
Sure. So I think that sounds like
I'm happy with the fact that I got that chance.
So that's the tricky thing from my perspective. I don't know if it's numbness or it's been dealt with, right? So whether you've moved through the regret or it was never there. So you're telling me that you've moved through it, which is totally fine. Last kind of random question. I've never asked this question before. I have no idea if it's a good question or not. You were saying that, so now you're more in touch with your emotions, right?
Yeah.
You're able to feel more. So you were also saying that you're the most in touch with your emotions when you're pretending to be your ideal self.
Okay. Yeah.
Any chance you're pretending to be burnt out?
No, I haven't. Okay, wait, that was not the question I was expecting. Okay. Am I pretending to be burnt out? Why would I do that?
I have no fucking clue. I'm just wondering. When I asked that question, don't worry about the why. Like,
am I? Sorry. I don't know.
I like I said, I've never asked that question. It's not something I've ever encountered. But you seem exceptional to me.
I genuinely don't know.
And like, there's a part of me that just wonders. So there's just something for you to think about, right? I'm not saying you're like, hey, you are pretending to be burnt out. No. Like, So
I
don't,
get.
please don't take it that way. I'm just like, I'm asking for your help with this random thing that popped into my head as I was hearing you speak. That
Basically, the
I
question that I was expecting from you was, are you pretending right now to be able to feel stuff? Which is not the case, because I went through a situation in which I was pretending, I got found out, and let's just say I had to deal with the aftermath of it, which kind of helped me get closer to my real self and still feel stuff.
yeah. So
It was,
here's kind of what I'm sort of
so,
thinking.
yeah.
I'm just wondering whether like there is something protective about being burnt out, right? Because like then do you really have to do like, oh, it's like you're burnt out, like, not your fault, you're a victim.
But then I do hyperventilate, and I still want to learn things. I still
Of course,
love
of
learning
course,
things.
of course, but Baram, like, of course you want to learn. You're a good person. You're bright. You have a lot of motivation. But poor you, you're burnt out. That's why. It's hard.
I can see certain situations in which I might think that way, and I can see certain situations in which that does not apply.
What
Yeah,
what feels more right to you?
both, actually.
So I think
It
that's
feels like two different parts of me.
so I do the only thing that I feel pretty confident about is that this game is not Baram versus the world. It's Baram versus Baram. Whether that's you being kind of ODD, and this is the crippling thing about ODD. So the biggest problem with ODD is that when someone tells you something and they're right, you will never
Oh,
accept it
absolutely.
because
I
of the ODD.
never.
So what that means is that
Absolutely
if your
never.
parents are ever right, and they're like, Baram, all you need to do is ABC, and they're 100% right, you will throw that solution, even if it's 100% right for you. You'll throw it out the window because of the ODD.
Yeah, I have done that, and that's still an issue to a certain extent.
Yeah, so you got to think about that. But like, there's something going on here where when you try to act, like, all I really feel confident about, I want you to ignore 50 to 90% of what I say. All I really feel confident about is when you try to do something, it's like some cobra like rises up within you and like then tackles you. Right? There's something weird going on inside you where like when you try to move forward, is it fear? I don't know how to say this, bro, but I think fear sounds a little bit too simplistic. And that could be like an incorrect judgment on my end. Because I'm just getting maybe you've worked through the regret, but it's almost like, I mean, maybe you have worked through the regret. I don't know. But like, and maybe this is fear, right? So I can see how there. Here's what I'm concerned about. And I'll kind of leave you with this and kind of give you the last word. But there's a part of me that's worried that you can't forgive yourself because you didn't do anything wrong. And sometimes lack of forgiveness, like, you can't move forward without it.
But like, if I did nothing wrong, what should I forgive myself for?
That's exactly my point. Is that's what's so there's a possibility here that like what you need to do is kind of admit that you fucked up. And then what you've got to do is say like, even though I fucked up, I can forgive myself. I really dropped the ball there. And once you're able to do that, you're okay dropping the ball again. Right? Because if it's okay to drop the ball, then you can pick it up in the first place. The problem is like you're so paranoid about dropping it. But like if there's anything wrong with it, why do you have to be afraid of dropping in the first place? It's okay. It's a learning experience, Param. Learn, Vita. It's okay. And then yet here you are not willing to pick it up. So there's just something about this that doesn't fit with me. And there's like, it's very ego protective to devalue. Like, I mean, so the hard thing about this for me, Burham, is that I do think you've genuinely grown in a lot of ways. But for some people, genuine growth and like psychological ego defensiveness looks a lot alike. Right? So I know I struggled with this where it was like, okay, like I'm going to be spiritual, take sannyas.
Oh yeah, you've talked about that a lot in your streams.
And like that can absolutely be genuine, and there's a part of that is still genuine for me today, but there's also a part of it that was straight up bullshit, bro. And what I'm just getting, there's something just does not add up. And there's a part of me that kind of says like what you need to do is admit to yourself that you kind of screwed up. And admit to and then work through and say like it's okay to screw up. But what I'm hearing from you is, oh, like I didn't really screw up. Like I learned from it, so it's okay. I didn't really see the money, so it's okay. So it's okay, so it's okay, so it's okay. And then what happens is if it's really okay, then you should be able to get up and leave the house and, but then what happens when you get up, there's this suffocating feeling. There's something powerful there. Something about this picture is just not adding up for me. I'm not saying I'm right and that you're wrong. But like I see you struggling against yourself. I see you genuinely striving forward and genuinely stopping yourself. I do wonder whether like some of the solutions are like, if your parents told you it was a mistake to drop out of school, you can never admit that. And then you can't regret it.
I never did.
If they said it's a mistake, it's no mistake.
Yeah,
and then if it's not a mistake, then you get all this devaluing crap. And then if you never made a mistake, you never forgive yourself, but deep down, it's a mistake. And then like you can't move past it. And for 7 years, you've been stuck.
I don't feel like it is a mistake deep down. Maybe it's just numbness, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think that the logical stuff that you say, I do think that there's truth in that. Right? So like that, I don't think you're wrong. I think everything about this conversation to me, Barham, feels incomplete as opposed to wrong.
So that incomplete thing might be the reason behind everything? Could be.
I mean, I get this. I get the sense we've got half the puzzle pieces. That's another way to put it. And I think some of the puzzle pieces you threw into the fire because your parents handed them to you. And then like the picture isn't coming together.
Maybe it could be the case that because we're talking specifically about burnout, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't talked about.
Sure.
Which doesn't really relate to burnout.
So I think that's also where, like, when you say something like that, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know that means that, oh, okay, so we don't have a good picture of it, so we need additional information, which makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. What also sometimes makes sense for sneaky fuckers like yourself, I say that with love, is that the closer we get to the real thing, the more additional crap you're going to throw in to distract us. I don't know.
I can see myself absolutely doing that.
So like the like when you say, oh, but like Dr. K, you forgot all this stuff. I need to share all this other stuff with you. I don't know, because like the thing is,
I didn't mean it in that sense. I just thought maybe it might be a thing. I don't know. We don't have to talk about that.
I don't doubt that everything that you think of is important. I don't doubt that. More information is never bad. I'm just sharing with you that, like, I don't know that, I don't think we're going to be able to figure this out today, Burham, and I'm sorry about that. But, like, I think you've really got to take a long, hard look at yourself. Try to figure out, like, would I allow myself to regret what's happened? For all the things that your parents have told you. Because, like, here's the thing. Once you start defying that, even if you tell it to yourself and you believe it in some part, you're going to defy it within yourself internally. I'd also ask, like, you know, these are more long-term things, because one thing that I really do get from you is that despite you kind of saying you've been stuck for 7 years, I get the sense you've genuinely made a lot of progress. And that sometimes it takes a couple of years to figure stuff out, especially when the mind is like complex. And the problem here is that the person that you're wrestling against is gifted. Right?
It's the bane of everything.
Honestly, it is. Like people like you struggle, like, because it's just, you know, it's like any of these. Do you play video games?
Uh, I was playing League back in 2016 when I was going through this shit. I was very addicted to it. It was a very good coping mechanism.
So
I was very tilted.
There are a lot of video games where like you fight like this doppelganger boss, right? So in Elden Ring, it's like mimic tier. Like you walk in and there's this like magic mirror, and then like some shadow of you steps outside. And the thing about like, you know, beating the mimic tier in Elden Ring is you go in without any weapons, and then like it comes out weak, and then you equip something, and then you can own it. But the stronger you are, the harder the fight is. And what I get from you is that like this is why it's going to take a while, because the evil shadow that steps out of the mirror is like jacked and is a beast.
Okay, so basically, because I've grown, that has also grown.
Yeah, so that's where I think something about this. So I would say a couple of concrete things. The first is really try to figure out, like, I mean, you had a really bright future, and that's gotta hurt to lose. And if you've gone through it,
it hurt.
If you've gone through it, that's totally fine. Then I'd kind of ask, like, if you survived it once, like, why can't you survive it again? Couple of other questions to ask is, when you feel like that suffocating feeling, like, what is that? Because that's a pile of emotion.
That was kind of the main thing I came here wanting an answer to. Like, what is that feeling? We'd never got into that conversation.
Yes, because I don't. I know it's kind of weird. Like I think it's really important, but I don't know if we. I mean, yeah.
I'm still glad that I got to talk to you.
No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out if I give you an answer to that, are you gonna push back, and is it better for you to discover it on your own, which is really what I'm thinking.
No, I'll discover it on my own. Just leave me with the questions.
So I think just to really ask yourself, like, what is this feeling of suffocation? We've got an interesting exercise, which you should participate in, by the way, that there are studies that have mapped emotions to certain parts of the body. So it's like literally like there's like a pattern of emotion. And when you have that suffocation feeling, what I would really do is like circle every part of your body that you feel anything in, and then look at the list of 100 emotions and see if it maps onto any of those. I'd be super curious what it maps onto.
What is that study? Where can I find it?
It'll be somewhere. I'll talk to Tech Teller about it. It's already somewhere.
Okay.
I just don't know where. So you can use like physicality to diagnose an emotion. It's not 100%, but people have done studies where they basically asked like 1,000 people to map various emotions, and like the distributions are quite unique. So like 50% here and 90% here is different from 90% here and 50% here. There are all these different emotions, like, and we'll see if it's regret. You know, and that's the tricky thing, is that I don't know. You know, I genuinely don't think that this is like, you're not all like being sneaky and stuff, but there's something about this that a part of you is hiding, a part of you is resisting, a part of you, like, you know, it's you that's kind of doing this.
The problem is I don't even know what I'm hiding, because I think I just laid myself bare.
Yeah, I think it's, I agree. I think it's hard to figure out, but it's a journey, and you've already made significant progress, and I think you just got to keep walking.
Interesting. That's kind of tiring and exhausting to think about, but it's not really something that gives me a feeling that I can't do it, because I'm already doing it.
I think exhausting is the right response, because I think there's more to do.
Yeah. I feel it in my chest, in my stomach.
What do you feel?
That suffocating feeling.
Are you
Um,
afraid?
no, it's just that feeling, like I can feel it.
Is
I'm
it
not afraid though.
is it a feel is it does it feel like you can't do it?
No,
Does it
absolutely not.
does it feel like you don't want to?
A little bit maybe.
Does it feel like you shouldn't have to?
No,
Does it
it's
feel
just like
like
maybe
pity?
a little bit. Like, that's an interesting word you threw out there. Okay, I guess, yeah,
What are you pitying?
a little bit of it. I don't know. It just feels like I'm pitying something in me, and I don't know what.
Would you allow yourself to feel pity for yourself?
I'm okay with this. I just want to know what am I pitying? Like, I feel like I'm seeing half the road, and the end is just dark. I want to see where it's leading to, so I just know, okay, this is the thing. I'm fine with feeling it.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe this could be just that ODD or something, again, rearing its head.
Barum, I think you deserve better.
Oh, oh my God, it just felt so good to hear that. Oh, oh my God, oh my fuck. That felt so, I don't know what, that feeling's gone.
You look like you're tearing up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I don't usually do it. It's very rare for me to tear up. Oh my God. This is not on the stream, right? I'm not being shown on the
Nope.
stream. Oh, thank goodness. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, that felt so good. I deserve better. Feels so good. Just to say to myself, I just don't know what is this thing affecting every time I say
Don't do what you're
when you
doing.
said
Don't
it.
nope nope. So there's your mind again. Just sit. What is it affecting? There goes the logic. Don't. What next? Nope. Just. I think it feels good, and I think you should cry about that too, because you do deserve better, and you didn't get that. It's not fair what you've been through. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve what has
I
happened
just
to
I just had this thought of like it felt like lost opportunity
you. Yeah.
that just really sucked.
Yeah.
And how I wish that didn't happen, or I could turn back time and just,
It's
yeah,
really sad, isn't it?
maybe I do regret, but it is, it is relieving to just hear that I deserve better. Damn it, Dr. K, you did your magic. I never thought I'd be the one crying.
Well, I can't do it without you. It's okay, man.
I'm just kind of feeling just wanting to cry. I don't know what it is, but I just want to cry. That's
Okay.
very rare for me.
So cry. I think
Very
maybe,
tough for me as well.
yeah, so I think maybe it's going to be hard if I'm sitting right here. But
Oh no, that's not the problem. I'm quite an emotional person. If I cry, I end up crying. No, doesn't matter how many people are watching me.
okay. So,
But
so I would say,
like, it's just this feeling is kind of going like relieving and wanting to cry and relieving. So I'm finding it hard to just cry
it's all
because
right.
it feels so good.
Yeah. So I think just, so what I would recommend is that you, I don't know like where you are, but get some fresh air, maybe wash your face, just sit with yourself for a little while.
It's nighttime. I'm literally in India.
Okay. So I don't know if you can open a
It's
window.
12 midnight.
Okay. So I'm not sure, but I would say just be with yourself for a little while and don't try to fix it or change it or what next. Just be. Don't even meditate. Just
I tried. I couldn't really do it.
okay. Barm, good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. K. I was not expecting to be selected for this because I did try to apply to your psychiatry website that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, oh, Dr. K is not taking any patients. I'm like, damn, I have shit luck. And now I got to get on a call with you. I'm like, damn, I really got some help. I don't know what this help is, and I don't care. Okay, I should stop
Yep.
being logical.
Good.
But
Good.
it's it's good.
Good.
It just feels good.
I'm happy to hear that. Good luck to you, Burrow.
Thank you very much, Dr. K.
Adios.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
If you found this video helpful, check out Dr. K's guide. We've spent hundreds of hours writing and filming to help people understand their mind so that they can build the lives that they want. So check out the link in the description below.